Last December, South African surgeons announced they had performed the world's first successful penis transplant on a young man who was the victim of a botched circumcision ritual. Surgeons at Stellenbosch University and Tygerberg Hospital performed a 9-hour operation to attach a donated penis. Well, now we just got word that the operation truly was a success. That's because he reportedly has gotten his girlfriend pregnant. So we know it worked, Margaret.
Congratulations.
And it is pretty cool. Andre van der Merwe, who's one of the surgeons who carried out the groundbreaking procedure, he's kind of being humble about the whole thing. He's like, I'm not surprised. You know, the problem was with his actual penis, not his testicles, so the fact that he's fertile isn't a big deal, but still, come on. You gotta reconnect everything, all the nerve endings, the tubes, everything's gotta be working properly. So I'm still excited, and I think that, you know, this is kind of the future because a lot of people have tried this in the past, and it hasn't worked.
Well, that's true, and this is a very gifted doctor, no doubt about that, but penile implants, they're one of the most common procedures performed here. You know, oldest, most effective treatment for erectile dysfunction. You normally don't see one for a botched circumcision like this. I mean, how bone-chillingly awful would it be to like have your poor baby's penis so damaged that as an adult,
Or your own
he has to have,
damaged?
well, if you did have one, in your case, not in mine, but just unbelievably barbaric to me to think about that.
Well, it is in a lot of parts of rural South Africa. Certain tribes, this is a coming of age kind of thing for them. We do the same thing here in the US, but in a controlled setting, right? Not in the bush. We do it in the doctor's office with anesthetics and proper tools in the proper setting, let's say. But here, this is a coming of age for the children when they're, you know, in their young teens, so probably very painful. This boy, this poor boy, was left with just 1 centimeter of his original penis as a result of that botched circumcision. And he was 18 years old, and he was sexually active at that time. You know, so he wasn't a young kid, and he had already been experiencing sex in the past. So to go from that to completely losing it is probably any man's worst nightmare.
I mean, I would say so. You know, the idea of circumcision for me, whether it's done in a bush or in a hospital, you are still shoving a blunt object in between the foreskin of your baby and your baby's penis. And that tissue, you know, it's the similar tissue that you have under your nail bed that keeps your nail in place. That has to be painful. It's true. It's totally true.
I mean, the whole thing in itself, I mean, whether it's male circumcision or female circumcision, which is sometimes called genital mutilation,
right?
Which happens a lot in Africa, you know, besides from the obvious reasons, a lot of people say, well, hey, you know, it's messed up because you don't really have any say in it. You're a young baby when it happens. In some places in Africa, you'll be, you know, before you're a teenager, you know, 8 or 12, you don't have any say of it. So that's why a lot of people get on the case for circumcision. Not to mention that a lot of people die from infection, even here in the U.S. A lot of
blood
people
loss,
die. Blood loss or infection, if they don't do it exactly the right way, it does pose a threat. And we see that that's clearly the case here. Luckily, this boy survived. Luckily, his body didn't reject the donated penis. So everything kind of happened in the right way. And
now
it was
they're
a success.
pregnant.
And now, yeah, to the point where he's fully functioning normal human, which, you know, definitely changed his life because his life was about to take a very different course. Because a lot of people, if they're lucky to even survive, have to live without their
Just the
penis.
emotional scars of having a 1-inch penis because somebody 1 centimeter penis because somebody cut it off. Can you imagine how traumatizing emotionally that would be? You'd never be the same.
No,
I mean,
you would not.
Oh.
Yeah, terrible. We want to know what you guys have to say about all this by commenting below. Is this the future for penile transplants? Is it here to stay? Can we finally say with confidence that it works and we will start doing them on a larger scale? I hope so. I think it sounds promising. Anyways, we want to know what you guys have to say about all this by commenting. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Lip TV 2 for more.